Por 7 siglos, la cora, un instrumento tradicional de Gambia, estuvo reservado a los hombres. Sonia Yobarte ha heredado esto. Thank you very much for the interview. What was it like to inherit something that was reserved for such a long time to men? How have you enriched this tradition?
For me, it's been a great honor. I see it as an honor to be the first female to be taking up this instrument professionally within the griot families, and also it's a big duty for me to do it justice in the right way. Majorly, it depends on if you're actually born into one of these families. If you're born into a griot family, from the day you're born, you're hearing this music, you're surrounded by it daily. So even if you don't touch the instrument until you're maybe 17, 18, you already know the repertoire. And because it's an oral tradition, nothing is written. You have to memorize the whole repertoire of this instrument. So those years of just hearing the music and being around it is vital in part of the education of actually taking up the instrument. It's otherwise known as a harp because it's very similar to a harp with the nylon strings. But it's the only instrument in the world that actually has two strings on each side of a bridge, so it's split into two, and there's 21 strings altogether. And it's constructed of this is like a calabash. You may have I think you have this in Mexico anyway, calabash, and it's covered like a drum. We cover it for the sound to have a resonance. And then the strings are just simply attached. So you have, your scale, which goes like a zigzag all the way up to the top.
You belong to this lineage, to this bloodline of composers. Who are included there? What famous singers and kora players?
Within these five families, the families are called griot families. They're from West Africa, and some people that know anything about these families will know the likes of Tumani Jubate or Kasamadi Diabate.
Certainly, the world is changing, and you are an example. How has the role of women changed in this cultural context of the Gambia?
I mean, to be honest, the women who are sort of trying to pursue whatever it is that they're trying to achieve in life, there are support mechanisms in place now in the country. There's a school which I've set up, music school in the Gambia, which for me I take very importantly. The idea of supporting women, offering them opportunities and education in certain areas that they might not otherwise be able to receive. So there's a space for it, but at the same time, in the musical tradition, it's something that just is not happening because I think there's not enough women who are doing it to set an example. So I think that would start to change.
What about cultural identity as well? You're representing this in a very new fashion. What's the presence of this music nowadays in the world? What do you think of the so-called category of world music?
I've always had that a problem, of course, because of the fact that that's obviously taking into account that you must be based in the West to say the world. This is obviously, for me, this is a Manding music. African music even is also too wide because the music is so diverse, and I know nothing about East African or South African music.